before Future Fight, before Marvel Heroes, Rest in Peace, and before Ultimate Alliance, there was only X-Men Legends. Boys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to go back in time and we're going to talk about the action RPG that changed everything. This is going to be my review for X-Men Legends, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Let's go.
Mind if I cut in?
Released in 2004 for the PlayStation 2, the GameCube and the Xbox, this was Raven Software first time making a console game. Yeah, this never got a PC port. Raven Software previous works include the Hexen games, which are doomed for people with big brains, the Soldier of Fortune games, which are definitely not family friendly, and 2 Jedi Knight games. So basically they were responsible for making a bunch of amazing games during the 90s and the early 2000s. X-Men Legends is a dungeon crawler in which the player can create a team of up to 4 mutants. Gameplay wise, the game feels like a beat 'em up. You have 2 attack buttons which you can use to create different combinations of attacks. You can even launch enemies in the air. The only thing the combat is missing here are defensive options, since there is no option to block or dodge. Like in any traditional RPG, your characters gain levels by defeating enemies, which rewards you with points that you can use to increase your character stats and upgrade your mutant powers. You can equip each character with up to 3 different items, which you can get from defeating enemies or buying them from the Forge shop. There are 15 playable characters in total, with one of them being Professor X, voiced by no one else but Patrick Stewart, only being playable during a short amount of time. Each character has 4 different powers in total, 2 basic powers, 1 buff that in some cases can apply to the entire team, and 1 extreme power that can deal high damage to multiple enemies. Basically, it pretty much hits everyone on screen, unless you are using someone like Beast. Yeah, Beast has pretty much the worst extreme power in the game. Despite some characters sharing similar animations, they all feel different and usually feel like they fit a traditional RPG role. For example, Cyclops plays like an archer since he can attack enemies from a safe distance with the optic blast, while Wolverine plays like a warrior fighting enemies on the front line. Since each character fits a different role, being smart when making your team is pretty much the key to survive. This becomes even more important later in the game when enemies who are resistant to energy or physical damage become more common. I won't call this a difficult game, but if you are not smart about what characters are on your team or how you upgrade your characters, then you can expect to see the game over screen very often. Especially because if you are careless, you can easily run out of potions, and reviving characters is not something you can do for free. And this is going to bring us to what I think is one of the main issues with the game: solo play. Well, there is nothing wrong with playing the game on your own. I mean, you can even control how aggressive your characters are, when they can use potions, but it's definitely not the same as having a friend grab the second controller and give it you a hand. The game is obviously made with co-op in mind, and in fact, I feel like this is how most people remember the game. A very cool co-op game that you can play with your bros for hours. The game is around 20 to 24 hours long. That number is going to depend on how much time you spend grinding on the danger room or exploring levels for hidden stuff like collectibles, danger room disc, or even, yeah, you can even get secret stat points. I do think that the game has a few filler levels, and some missions really drag for what seems like forever, like the Sentinel factory near the end of the game. During some very specific moments of the story, you can choose in which order to play some missions, but this has no impact whatsoever on the story, and sadly there is no new game plus or hard mode or anything like that. So once you beat the final boss, that's pretty much it.
Violence is all humanity has to offer us. Doesn't he ever shut up?
Something I feel like this game did well compared to our RPGs from that time are the boss fights. Most of them feel unique. You can even see Mystique changing forms, Magneto summoning the Brotherhood. So yeah, overall boss fights are surprisingly decent on this game. After completing a mission, the X-Men will usually return to the X-Mansion, which works as the main hub of the game. Here the player will take control of Magma, where she can interact with other students or members of the X-Men participate on the trivia game, train in the danger room, and take a look at the collectibles the player found in the main story. This is where the player can take a break from the main story and gather information by talking with other characters. And this is also where you can unlock flashbacks. During flashbacks, you even get to see the X-Men with their classic costumes. Unlike the danger room, you don't play them to grind levels or get extra experience. The main reason to play them is to revive the classic X-Men moments from the comics, so make sure you keep an eye open for other X-Men when you're on the X-Mansion, because I think you can miss some of those flashbacks.
Learn to fight so well, Wolverine.
Simple. I'm the best at what I do.
The game starts with Blob and Mystique trying to kidnap a teenager girl known as Allison for unknown reasons. Wolverine rescues Allison from the Brotherhood and brings her to the X-Men mansion to help her have a better control of her powers. What I do like about the story here is that it really feels like an X-Men story instead of another Wolverine and the X-Men story. Well, obviously some characters have more screen time than ours. It's nice to see a story focusing on the X-Men as a team rather than just focusing on one X-Men and the other being just background characters. Hell, not even Allison feels like the main character at times, but letting the player experience the story through the eyes of Allison helps people not familiar with the comics or even the movies to have a better understanding of the X-Men universe. Magma only becomes playable until you clear a few missions and advance the story. She joins the X-Men after mastering her powers. Meanwhile, the Brotherhood is trying to free Magneto. During your journey, you cross paths with many characters from the X-Men universe, such as the Morlocks, Toad, Pyro, Juggernaut, Colossus, Caesar, Illyana, also known as Magic, and even the Shadow King itself, who ends up capturing the Professor X while the X-Men are trying to save Colossus Caesar from the Shadow King. In the end, the Professor X defeats the Shadow King on an epic battle in the astral plane, where they are both wearing gladiator armor, because why not? It definitely looks very cool. The game has three main antagonists: the Shadow King, who just wants to destroy Professor X, General Kincaid, who is building Sentinels to get rid of the mutants, and Magneto, who just wants to prove mutants are superior. To stop Magneto from covering the Earth in darkness, the X-Men travel to Asteroid M to have a final battle with the Brotherhood. Once they defeat Magneto, they have to face the Master Mold.
End of the line, X-Men. My plan is finally complete. Once Asteroid M obliterates New York City, humans will blame mutants and eradicate them from the face of the Earth. A cause I'm willing to die for!
Who is being controlled by no one else but General Kincaid. After Master Mold is destroyed, Magma saves the day by using a machine called the Gravitron to prevent the asteroid from crashing in the middle of New York, and also prevents a war between humans and mutants. Later, it's revealed that Apocalypse was watching the X-Men and is preparing to do something evil. Well, if you already played the second game, then you know Apocalypse is the bad boy of X-Men Legends 2.
Countless lives. Your unwavering courage in the face of overwhelming odds has proven that you truly are an X-Man. For X-Men are the stuff of legend.
Enjoy your small victory, Xavier, for the age of apocalypse is nigh.
The Danger Room is a very unique part of the game. It lets players test their skills on a variety of different missions. Much like in the comics, the Danger Room can be used to train your mutants. This is pretty much this game version of side quests. Unlike the X-Mansion, it works as a distraction from the main story. You can unlock new Danger Room discs by collecting, by exploring levels, or by buying the ones you are missing from the healer shop. You can repeat the challenge you already completed for more experience, and if you find the game to be too hard for you, then you can always grind some challenge to get more experience for your mutant. If you know what you are doing, then you can easily finish the game without grinding, but if you're finding the main story to be too challenging for you, then you can try grinding a few levels on the Danger Room. There are a few discs that let you power level without too much effort, and grinding is pretty much the only way to reach level 45 which is the maximum level in this game, since you should be around level 35 when you reach the final boss. Additionally, each mutant has a unique danger room challenge, which rewards the player with a unique item for that character. Finishing the game lets you unlock new costumes, which is a shame because if you play the Ultimate Alliance games, then you already know how cool it is to be able to try different costumes for your characters. I think it will have made more sense to let you slowly unlock new costumes or just have them as rewards for clearing flashbacks or danger room challenge, but yeah, sadly you need to just finish the game if you want the cool costumes. You can also unlock comic books which reward your characters with more stats, but yeah, they really don't make a big difference, but it's a nice bonus for your characters. But if you start a new game, you pretty much have to collect every single danger room disc again, which is definitely a shame. Yeah, this game's definitely missing a new game plus option. I feel like Beast is the worst character in the game, like you're just better off using any of the other tanks in the game. The first power you have access to feels very awkward to use, plus it costs a lot of energy to use, and I think he has the worst extreme power in the game. Jubilee, she's pretty much a support character. She comes with a team buff that also works as a crowd control ability, a ranged attack, and another crowd control ability. Definitely more useful than Beast, but yeah, she seems kinda standard, like she's decent. If you like Jubilee, like me, then well, nothing wrong with using her on your team. Cyclops is definitely one of the best characters in the game. He works great as a rage character. Once you start getting levels and increasing your focus stat, yeah, later in the game you can just sit behind your team and spam with optic beams. Also, you can upgrade the optic beam to pierce through enemies and just pew pew groups of enemies from far away. On top of that, he comes with the leadership ability that gives you extra experience and combo damage, plus he has a great team buff. You really can't go wrong with Cyclops on your team. Storm is also very good and she has a leadership ability which, like Cyclops, is always useful because it rewards you with more XP and combo damage, plus she can fly. I remember not liking playing with Storm at first, but she becomes really good once you get the upgrade that lets you hit multiple enemies using only one lightning bolt. I feel like she's even stronger than Cyclops and you don't even need to aim. Colossus is a great tank with a good single target power and a very nice area of attack power that can clear entire rooms. Overall, he's a very strong tank. Rogue, she's a brawler with a strong single target power and a very questionable extreme power. Yeah, I don't think her extreme power is good. The ability drain skill, once you level up the skill, it lets you stun one enemy for a long time. Though I think I will prefer something like Colossus' second mutant power that lets you attack a lot of enemies on the screen. Yeah, I feel like she's missing an area of effect attack. But yeah, overall I think I just prefer using Colossus or Wolverine when I need a tank on the team, but Rogue is fine. Jean Grey is definitely one of the best characters in the game. Her mental attacks are really good for clearing entire rooms of enemies, plus she can fly and build bridge, which means that you don't have to worry about getting stuck and having to backtrack to change character. Only real weakness are the Sentinels since they can resist mental attacks, but outside of that she's really good. Also, you can't go wrong by having Iceman on your team, since he can also build bridge. There is only one level where you can't use Jean Grey, so you're going to be stuck with Iceman if you want to build bridge. Overall, he's a very nice character with a good buff that applies to the entire team, a range attack, and he can also freeze enemies, which is very useful. Well, he's really not a master of anything, he's just really good at everything, so if for some reason you hate Jean Grey, then you can replace her with Iceman. Gambit is a melee character that can deal high damage, but is not very good at tanking like Wolverine or Colossus. You can also use him as a rage character, but frankly you are just better off using someone like Cyclops for that. Also, he's one of those characters that greatly benefits from being controlled by a player, because his combo attacks, you know, with the staff, are the ones that do big damage. Emma Frost is also a melee character that you can also use for crowd control. She can confuse nearby enemies and get you some time to breathe, or you can make them cower in fear. Her powers sound really cool on paper, but there is the issue that your allies won't target mind control enemies, and also chasing enemies around can feel like a bit, yeah, it kind of feels like a chore. There is a mission where you are stuck only using Emma and Jean, and I feel like you will benefit the most by playing Emma as a melee tank. Sadly, Psylocke is the final playable character that you can unlock. Unlike Gemma and Emma, she deals mental damage, meaning that she won't be able to do much damage against the Sentinels, which at this point sort of like become a common enemy, but she's really strong in both range and melee combat. Nightcrawler is definitely one of the best characters in the game. He can teleport and double jump, which is always useful to get secrets, and his teleport attack that can hit multiple enemies is really good. But what makes him really good on any team is his ability to save allies from death. At max rank you have a 100% chance to rescue any ally from death and only has a cooldown of 1 minute. So yeah, he's really good. Logan is a tank with a great single target damage power and a buff that makes him even deadlier. He's very useful on the early levels because of the healing factor, which for some reason you need to unlock first before you can use it, but yeah, having Logan on your team is going to help you save a lot of healing potions. Magma on the other hand, and despite being the main character, she's just fine. She becomes playable after you finish a few story missions, and you know, she's a brawler with a range attack and a decent area of effect attack, but that's pretty much it all. And her magma form looks cool, and being able to send enemies flying also looks cool, but yeah, she's just okay. And finally we have the Professor X, and he's only playable during one mission and one boss fight, but as expected, he's freaking strong. Watching him destroy enemies with no effort feels great. Plus, you get an exclusive one-on-one fight with the Shadow King. So that's it, boys, we're at the end. Do I think the game is worth playing in 2022? If you have a friend, absolutely. Playing solo, on the other hand, it can get a bit boring during some missions. Personally, I don't think the Ultimate Alliance games make the X-Men Legends obsolete. I think they are all worth playing for different reasons. But now I want to read your comments. What do you think of the first X-Men Legends? What was your favorite team? As always, thanks for watching, thanks for supporting the channel, and I hope to see you guys very soon. Take care, amigos.